motorcycle helmet? You great.
I just had to buy a new one actually.
I was trying to run downstairs to my basement and get my Christmas tiara on, but it would have taken too long. But here we are. So, well, hello, Darius.
Hey.
Hello, Darius.
I see you. Okay. Well, listen, we have got, hi, Chris. Hi, Shahida, my babies.
Hey,
love you. Kiss, 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 kiss. We have got a great podcast today. We've got a special guest, and I'm a little biased because
besides Darius
being here, we have a special guest with Darius. Hey, Darius, I like that t-shirt, though. Give a little shout out to the Still Dope fam. Say hi.
Say hi. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got another special guest here, and I'm a little biased because he is my nephew from my sister from another mister, and I'm just going to give him all the love and brag on him. He debuted, we have an upcoming actor, debuted as Calvin in season 2 of the hit Netflix series Mindhunter. And yes, I have my notes because my memory's missed. He's also been in the Oscar nominated and Golden Globe nominated Judas and the Black Messiah alongside Lakeith Stanfield. And most recently, if y'all don't know, you better get that subscription to Starz and watch and binge BMF Black Mafia Family, because he played Darius. Hey, Darius. You, Darius. Looking at you, Darius, Shahida. But he played Darius on BMF on Starz. You guys have to binge that and watch that. So coming to us straight out of the ATL, please welcome, along with his mom, my sister, Raymond Seay III.
Woohoo!
Hi, Raymond.
Hi.
How are you?
He said hi. Hi. His voice all changed. Hi, how you doing? I'm a grown man now at this point.
Came from the chest. Come from the chest.
He said hi. Yeah. Hi. That's the way you say it, Raymond.
That's what I'm talking about.
With confidence, with the verb, with gravitas. Do you know what gravitas means? Gravitas is a Latin word that means like weight, heaviness. Like Denzel, Morgan Freeman have gravitas. James Earl Jones. Do you know who James Earl Jones is? Okay, let me. I'm sorry. I know we have a set thing. Let me tell you one thing first, Raymond. You need, if you're going to be a great actor, if you're on your way to being a great actor, you have to know who are the people there before you. Not only regular actors, but especially Sidney Poitier, Moses Gunn. I'm talking about real African-American actors who have paved the way for us to have even a platform to be an actor. Sidney Poitier, you got to watch any of his things that he did when no other Black folks were getting even close to getting major roles in films. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? You got to watch that. You got to watch Lilies of the Field. He won the Oscar for Lilies of the Field. And even if it's not your style or your type of thing, just the movie itself and seeing a Black man who has gravitas. He's a man's man. He's gravitas. You got to start watching. So your homework is to start watching things that you wouldn't necessarily normally watch, but things that you're like, oh, wow, because all the great actors before you, Denzel, all those people before you, that's all they do. They studied those actors because that's all they really had at that point. So that was just my first hint of the day, tip of the day. And know your actors. So if you run into Sidney Poitier, who's in his 90s right now, and you got a chance to meet him, I want you to be able to go, I know who you are. They call me Mr. Tibbs. You'll get that later. I'll give you. I'll make a list for you of films that you need to see. Just a good film. Anyway, let's go ahead. Sorry, Tahita. Tahita. Well, that's where my head is right now. I combine the two of you to Tahita.
Okay. It's okay, Coach.
That's kind of a good name, though, Tahita.
I like it. I actually like it.
So, Shahida, did you want to say something?
Well, I mean, I know we talked about the stuff that he's been in, and I know this was his first role, but it was my favorite TV show, the Netflix. What was it? Mind Killer? No,
I thought you said, was it Raising Dion or Mindhunter?
No, it was Mindhunter. I thought that was his first one.
Mindhunter, yes. Mindhunter was the first.
And and when I went back and I looked at it, I remembered him so well. I'm like, I love that show. I'm upset that it was actually canceled, but you did excellent. You did the Atlanta Killing bit, and it was really good. And how old were you?
That was 3 years ago, right?
You were 13.
You 13? Oh wow.
13.
I read for the Atlanta one, playing the mayor of Atlanta at the time.
Oh, nice. You were excellent for that.
Yeah, but I didn't look anything like him. But anyway, but so also Raymond, who was your director in that?
I do not remember his name. I remember a face, but I do not remember his name.
So that's another thing. Yeah. Anytime that you're working on something, you go after you're done shooting or whatever, you go up to the director and the producers and you thank them for putting you on the show, because they will remember you. Even if you did great work, they will remember you. And then the next time when you read for something, and if it's David Fincher and they know who you are, and you can say, "Hi, Mr. Fincher, I was so-and-so and so," that you have some sort of, this business is about relationships as well. Mm-hmm. And the more things that you work on and the more people, I make a point of any job that I do I go to everybody on the set as soon as I'm done. I know I look like a fool, but I take 5 to 10 minutes. The grips, you know what a grip is? You know what a best boy is? You know what a dolly? You got to know who are all these different facets of who's working on, the gaffers, the best boys, the PAs. Make a point of knowing every single one and thank every single one of them so they remember you. They see your face and they go, "Oh yeah, we worked together on so-and-so." I was on a show the other day, this summer, and I had 4 people from 4 different shows I had worked on that all remembered me. They're like, "We worked together on so-and-so. We worked together." I was like, "Oh, that's right. I remember you." It's always really important to know the directors that you're working with and the producers who you're working with, because they give you the job. And the directors can sometimes, "Oh, I remember this one kid was on Mindhunter that he was really good as, I wonder what he's like now. I need a 17-year-old now, or, who'd be perfect for this. I got the guy." So the more that you make those connections and know who you're working with, because if you go on for an audition and you already auditioned for David Fincher the first time, but you didn't know who the person was and you recognize his face, but you got to know who they are. Does that make sense? So it's not even also just about the acting work. It's about the business behind the acting work. For you to get the acting work, you got to know the business too.
Perfect.
Throwing my little.
Well, thank you. Well, go ahead. Go on. Preach, Pastor
We
Williams.
have our own little thing here. Raymond and I all have our own little. We'll have our talk later when he wants to talk to me. Person, but I know we're using this form.
Listen, we're going to link that up. We're going to link that relationship up so that you guys have each other's information and you guys can talk offline. But I have questions. Raymond, when did you decide? What made you? When was that moment that you were like, "I want to get into this business"? I don't know. It's just like anything, but with acting and the entertainment field, I'm always like, what made you decide to wake up one morning and be like, "I want to be an actor," or "I want to do this," or "I want to do this within this business"? When did you decide that you wanted to do that?
I was actually a stunt double on a show called Scream on Netflix, and it was my first time being a stunt double. Before that, I was just an extra. I was just doing it to make some money. At the time, I didn't have a job, and it was $90 for what, an 11-year-old. It was good. It was good money.
Right.
And this was my first time being a stunt double. And I remember they gave me my first lines, and I had to say those lines, and I had to jump the fences and do this and this and that. And 3:00 in the morning, I told my mom, this is something I want to do. Can we do this? And we just went from there.
That's awesome.
And what was your answer, Christy?
That's what I was
what
going to ask.
I said, what now, sir? I'm sorry. It's 3:00 in the morning.
Exactly.
I don't know this. I don't know anything about this. We are out here because it's cute and fun, but I don't know about this, So we had a conversation. I mean, he's at that time 12, 13 years old. I'm like, first of all, he's excited because he's outdoors, middle of the night. They give him permission to jump off cars and climb fences and run over stuff, and they film it and tell him to do it repeatedly. All the things I tell him not to do at home, he got to do in that junkyard that night.
And get paid.
And get paid. Right. And see, this is the thing. One of the beautiful things about his enthusiasm that night, that morning, was that it didn't change the next day or the following day or the day after that. With kids that age, they like something one minute and they don't. He wanted to start taking acting classes. So what I did is I basically dove into researching everything I could possibly research about the entertainment industry, and for kids. And so my answer was, okay. And then I had to go to my husband and say, so your son wants to.
Yeah.
For real, and he was for it. My husband was completely for it. So, and then from there, I mean, he's so serious about the work. Like when you were mentioning, speaking to directors and things like that, we've been on different sets and they remember him because they always say he's respectful. It's like, he's so respectful, he's so polite, and he's always saying, yes, sir, no, sir, things like that. He's talking to the director. And although he doesn't spend a lot of time talking to directors just because he's a kid, and a lot of times at that age,
He's not a kid, he's a young man.
Okay.
Well, he's a kid to you because he's your kid, but he's a young man.
Yes. But to them, he's a young man, and he considers himself. You heard him with the bass. He considers himself a young man. I'll give him that for public purposes, but in this house, yeah. Exactly. So, right. But no, but he is very, he communicates well with them, and then what I love about watching him on set is how he works with the directors. Like, we get a chance to see the other kids on set, and a lot of times there was one particular movie that he did, and the kids. He knows what I'm talking about. The kids are like all over the place. They're playing, the director's like, please be still, please do this. And he comes over to me. He's like, Mom, they are not serious. And he was upset with his classmates for not being serious about the role. He's like, this is, and he was like, I said, well, they're 12, sweeter. You can't, not everybody's minded, that single-minded like you. So when I saw how important it was to him, and then how really good he actually was, I was like, okay, he's great, because we're not those the parents that do the participation certificates. We're like, you go in to win or you don't. We don't do that. We don't play like that, and so the fact that he was so serious about it and committed to it, we just dove in head first.
Okay, I have another question. So now that we've established that, here's my next question is, and it just comes off my head. Once you decided this is what you wanted to do, you've had this conversation with your mom and your dad. What's the next steps in those processes? Like, do you, you had your first job, and now it's time to get serious. And what entails that as far as like getting representation and going from there? Because Christy, I know me and you had spoken, and you literally love his agent. And I want you to give her shine as well. But I just want to know what that process is, because as an odd person out, I don't know any better. And as much as I watch TV and as much as I love the entertainment industry, of course, in the back of my brain, I always think of this like little seedy kind of like,
right.
Especially when it's adults, it's a whole nother thing. But when you're dealing with your child,
yes,
like you don't want them to experience all of that negativity and that nastiness. So Raymond or Christy, talk to us about how that next step in the process is, as far as like finding representation and doing like auditions, and like how do you find your roles and all of that.
Well, I just auditioned for the agent. My mom found the agent. I auditioned and we ended up getting it.
Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening is once I realized that he was truly serious, I started to go through and look for SAG agents. And then in Atlanta, there's an abundance of them now. But back then, there were a decent, a number. So lots of SAG agents, and then started to submit. Now, many of the agencies want referrals, and we didn't have any referrals. So, referred from another person within their agency. We didn't have that. So I went to Barbara's website, the East Coast Talent Agency, went to the website, saw the submission process, and basically submitted his information, his shot. She sent me an email and said, "We're interested, but we need to see him on film." She sent 2 scripts, one that was a commercial and another one that was a serious role where he had to pretend like his parents got a divorce. We recorded both of those, and within minutes, she sent over the contract. She's like, "I love him." Yeah, right. Yep. So we signed up. Now I didn't know what we were doing. Now I read contracts. I'm like reading every fine print. I'm reading it back and forth. I, marinate in it a little bit before we signed it. But I mean, and then probably a couple of days later, she sent him an audition for Queen Sugar. She sent, yes, his first audition was Queen Sugar. So she's no joke. She's sending auditions. She's not sending YMCA play auditions. She's sending, like he just recently auditioned for Emmett Till to play Emmett, but the gentleman, the young boy from All American got it. He was great. I mean, we love him, what I love about him is he has that same, like, yeah, man, if it's not for me, he's open to, he's waiting for what's for him, which is great. He's got that. He's not like, oh man, he's like, oh yeah. And I'm thinking you're in the same category, you're auditioning with the same level. So it's kind of cool. And then, gosh, I can't think of all the other auditions he's done, but she's brought him some fantastic, he's got great callbacks, and it's really her work. Now she is a beast. I mean, she's like hardcore for you, but she's very particular and strict. She's been in the industry 20 plus years. So we basically do, after he was signed, we just do whatever she tells us to do.
So when you audition, Raymond, do you go to her office and do the audition or the read for her, or do you just record it in your home and then send it?
Well, but we first started auditioning, we used to go to a studio and get it professionally, filmed, and I got coached up. The person that was helping us, he was an actor as well, so it helped a lot with, nerves and knowing what the script is and what's actually going on. But as soon as I started to get into the craft and start doing it on my own, and saw how much it costed, we ended up just like in our basement. We just put up a gray sheet, got a tripod and a few lights. And here we are now.
I'll tell you how it actually happened. So we were going to the guy, right? I'm not going to say his name. We were going to the guy, and Raymond had this, I don't know if it was a Nickelodeon audition, but it was a bigger, one of the big auditions. And in the script, I read every word for everything, before we give it to him. So we don't accept every audition because everything's not for him. But this one was. So I'm reading everything, and it says he has to do a little dance, right? So I'm his reading partner. We rehearse before we go, right? So they have a little dance. So he makes up this little dance. And then when I get the audition from the guy, there's no dance. So we truck back up to the office and say, hey, we forgot the dance. He's like, no, it's not in there. It's not a dance. I was like, oh, sir. The worst thing you can do for a casting director is not do what they tell you to do, right? If they say dance and you don't dance, that's a challenge, And so long story short, he insisted that it wasn't so. So we went somewhere else last minute, paid for twice for the audition. And I said, you know what? My husband's like, you know what? We could do this ourselves. And we had we bought the lights. We had the proper equipment. a gray sheet. It's quiet down there. It looks like the same. I was like, we could do the exact same setup.
Yeah.
And we started filming in the basement, basically.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah, he landed the Netflix one and the Judas and Black Mafia family from our basement.
Do you have a scrim now instead of the sheets?
Nope, we didn't buy one of those yet.
Those are good.
Oh yeah, you have a let me see what you got. I like it. Look at the front.
Running.
Look at that speed. Yes. Oh yes, one of those. Yes. We have not purchased one of those yet.
They're pretty cheap. They're pretty, but it makes such a difference.
It does. Okay.
The more professional. That took years to learn how to do that, by the way.
You were quick with it. You were quick with it.
That's for the background when you're
my auditions.
Background. Oh, okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
So we'll get one of those. Yes.
Yeah. Because the more professional it looks, even though you went, the better they know that you're working and they know that that you're investing in your work.
So where can he get that? Is that an Amazon thing?
Amazon, yeah.
Oh,
I've seen them. I just need to get one. I'll definitely get one.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, actually, Connie was going to get one for Christmas for you, I believe.
Okay.
Let me get on Amazon right now, and you're going to have to text me what the name of that is.
Yeah.
So,
got a question.
also, go ahead, Shanita, because I got a list of questions. So go ahead.
I know you do. But I'm always interested in knowing when you get that first job, and how did you feel? How did you prepare for it? Mom, when you heard he got that first job, how did you feel and how did you prepare him for it? Because that's like complete unknown at that point.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You want to answer first?
Well, my first job, it was really just trying not to get nervous. It was really remembering that this is my job and this is what I'm supposed to do.
At 13.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all there was to it, and just knowing my lines and doing my job.
So
that's the right answer too.
It didn't make you sweat, because I'm thinking I did one play.
Okay.
And when I tell you how bad I sweat backstage and how horrible I thought I did, but so you at 13 did better than me, a grown woman. No sweating, nothing.
I was a little nervous, but I wasn't, panicking.
How many takes did it take for you to do that first scene?
How many takes? Shoot, probably like it depends on each shot. I remember it was like 3 different shots. So it was like 3 or 5 times, because what I was giving wasn't what they wanted, and so I had to change up what I already planned. Which I realized now I shouldn't have planned anything. But yes.
And it's not necessarily what you weren't giving them what they wanted. Maybe they just wanted something different. Does that make sense? You're doing your interpretation of what you think it should be, and then they will adjust you. Now, if you're in an audition and someone says, "Oh, fantastic, great, thank you very much for coming in." Well, I don't think you don't have live auditions anymore. But anyway, if you're in a live audition, they go, "That was great, thank you so much. You knew all your lines." I used to be like, "Yes, I knew all my lines," but then I was like, "Oh, well, wait a second." But if they go, "That was nice. Can you do it this way? Can you try it this way?" Because they want to see if they can direct you. Because if you do the same thing over and over and over and over again the same way, and they go, "Well, we want it like this," and they know that's all they're going to get. If you show them this and they ask for this, and you show them over here, anything in the middle, they can just mold you and adapt you to what they want. Does that make sense? So if a director or someone says, "I want you to do it this way," that's not a bad thing. That's a really good thing, especially in an audition. Especially when they say, "Can you try this?" or can you can you do this? They want to see if you can do it, and B, you also as an actor should take 85. Know your lines. That's the first and foremost. I was in a car with Anthony Hopkins for 8 scenes, and I was like, just tell me like everything. He's like, know your lines and say them. He's coming from an Oscar winner. You know who Anthony Hopkins is, Raymond?
From Hannibal. He's Hannibal Lecter. Yeah. So we kind of kept him in the Disney films and Veggie Tales. So he wasn't quite ready for Hannibal Lecter yet. But now that he's 16, we can expose him to like Godfather and stuff like that.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter is a little bit too much.
Right. Yeah, it's my parenting. We bubbled them just a skosh, you know.
That's great.
So
But Raymond,
he doesn't
know.
Right.
You should know 85% of what you're going to do, and know it locked in. This is what I'm going to do. But leave 15% open for you to be able to do something different or try. Because if you're locked in at 100% and that's all you know, all you do, it's not going to work for you. You know what I mean? So know as much as you can, but always try to be as flexible as possible. And also give them different things on different takes. Because once they have it once, you can give them something different that they didn't expect, that they may not have expected, that shows you. The more that you can bring yourself to whatever it is, the better off you will be, and the better off your future will be.
See, this is what I like, and this is what I wanted for this podcast, was obviously to shine on Raymond and love on Raymond, but I love the fact that we have 16-year-old Raymond and Chris.
And 28 years in this business.
Right, 28 years in the business. And I love the fact that we're able to pair this up so that way, you know, you have this dynamic and you have this connection so that now you guys know each other. And Raymond, now you have a resource that if you have any questions or anything, you can always reach out to Chris or reach out to me, and I'll reach out to Chris. But, you know, this day of social media, you guys just reach out to each other. And Chris has got a wealth of knowledge.
And I will talk your ear off.
He will steer you the right way.
Talk your ear off. You want to know? I coach as well, so I know. You know, as I said, I've been in this business for a long time. Yeah. I've seen a lot of things.
Yeah,
I've seen. Just you were talking about the dancing part in the audition.
Yeah,
you'll come across things that even in the job that you're doing, you'll go, well, wait a second. If something doesn't feel right to you, Raymond, or to your mother, I know there's going to be a time when your mother's not going to be there to say, wait a second, I don't know if I want. There's going to be a time that you're going to go, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I did a KFC commercial. I was shooting a commercial for KFC. Mm-hmm. And a guy walked out. You know Chef Garvin? You know G. Garvin?
Oh, G. Garvin, yes.
He's a chef. He's a black.
I love him. Yes.
He came out or someone came out and he goes, hey, man, they're going to make you dance. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, so I went in there and it was all white. Producer, director, everybody was all the clients. Everybody was white. And they said, okay, so for this take, we're going to have you just give us a funky dance, like a chicken dance. So I want you to dance like a chicken.
Oh. No, sir.
Now, Raymond, you're like, all right, well, fuck it, let me just dance. But there's other implications above and beyond that you have to go. Was there anybody in the meeting that said, I don't know if the black people should be dancing with fried chicken? Because that's not a good look. That's like, so, right. and I was like, they're going to make you dance. They're like, what? Oh my God. So you have to be careful about, if something doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right, you need to say something to someone. Does that make sense? Don't ever feel you can't say anything because it's a job. I don't want to lose a job. You can't feel that this is your work and it's who you are. And it's who you are in terms of you're representing yourself in your work. So if something feels uncomfortable to you, always say something. Say something to your mom. Even if she's not on set, once you get to a certain age, call her up and say, what do you think about this? Before you sign a contract, before you do whatever you need to do, it's got to feel right to you. I mean, I've been in experience with an audition where I read for it was a light-skinned multiracial thing, like with an Indian, whatever. And I had a tan. He said, Are you black? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. Well, you look at, I said I have a tan. I was like, oh, okay. He said, so you have blue eyes. I was like, yeah. He's like, so where'd that come from? I was like, oh, well, my parents both have brown eyes, but the recessive traits. He goes, I guess somebody got bopped way back then, huh? Exactly. And I was young.
It was at that moment that we are all on the podcast like crickets.
and I was young. I was 25, 20. I was just starting out acting. I didn't start till I was 25, professional. Just starting out, and I'm like, am I on Candid? Like, did anyone hear that? Me and him was like, did anybody hear? Am I on Candid Camera? Because that was so blatantly disrespectful to me, and I was like, but I didn't say anything or do anything. But I have the story now to tell in the future. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't need it. You don't need it. You do not need it. You never need a job. You never need a job. So I'm just preaching, but you know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much for that. Because one of the things, I'm sorry, I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say two things. Thank you so much for the first part because I'm the one doing his auditions with him. I try to explain to him, give me different versions because I typically send him 2 takes, right? And that's one of the reasons why I think he got Judas and the Black Messiah, because he did because it was a different era. So I showed him videos of how they spoke back then. He landed just one fantastic take and then another one, different versions. And so sometimes no, I'm good with the 1 take. No, we're going to do 2. Give me something else. So recently he's been coming in with both, 2 different takes because you never know what they think they do. And they may not realize they want it until they see it,
Yes.
So we've been doing that. And then not recently, probably 2 years ago, when he was early on, he had an audition. They sent us an audition for, I think it was HBO or something like that, but it was with Ethan Hawke. Great actor. And he didn't know him, but great actor. And the role required him to not just put on a dress, but to have confusion concerning his preference, right? And I was like, but the thing is, they didn't say all that in the audition. I just saw the title. I was like, I think this is the book. Let me go see what it's about, right? So the parent, I researched, I saw the book. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So he was playing a slave, and one of the slaves, the role was a slave. Yep.
I know exactly what show.
Yes, you know
exactly the show.
They sent him the audition for that. And so they wanted that he plays a slave, and the way the slave was able to stay alive and not be killed is because he looked like a girl. He was dressed like a girl, not a boy, right? So I was like, 12, 13 years old in a dress? No, thanks. But then as I started to read even more, I asked the casting director, I said, before we accept this audition, will Raymond be, in a suggestive or inappropriate position with Ethan Hawke? And so the casting director responded back with, well, there is some, I forgot the exact word he used. It was hinting at intimacy, but not saying there was. And I was like, well, we're going to respectfully decline and thank you for the opportunity. And that was it, because even though it was a major network, we don't take everything, because again, like you mentioned, Chris, to speak to what you were saying, it's his image, and fortunately, he has the opportunity to explore his craft without a mortgage. We cover all that. So I tried to tell him, oh, look at that.
That's Chris.
That's Chris.
That is not Chris. You are gorgeous.
That's Chris.
That's Chris. But I wanted, while you were talking, Christy, I Googled the series. It's called The Good Lord Bird.
That's it. Yes, that was it.
And I watched that when I first watched that, because I'm a big fan of Ethan Hawke.
Right.
And when I saw the previews, I was like, oh, okay. And I'm very eerie about watching. I'm not good with watching like slave era type movies or shows because it just triggers me.
Right.
But I watched it, and when that actor that played the character that Raymond auditioned for, I was a little on it at first because it's a kid, number one.
Right.
And number two, I didn't know this was such good acting.
Right.
That I really thought it was a girl. So as the episodes went on and I realized it was a boy playing this girl, I was kind of like, I clutched my pearls and I was like, I don't know if I had a son, if I would at that grown man is one thing.
Yeah,
I want my son to go that route. At his age, and when he gets older, over 21, and he's doing his thing, then you go ahead and do what you do. You do you, baby. You make those decisions. But as a 16, 13, whatever year old, I'd be like, I'm with you on that one. Where you're like, yeah, we're gonna reel this back a little bit.
Right.
But I mean, as an adult, yeah, absolutely. But kid, and then that's that would be one of his debut roles, it's one of his roles. That's the first thing you come out as. So we were like, we're gonna put on that. We were honestly flattered. We told the casting director, listen, we are honored and flattered that you chose him and his tape, to go to the next level. We genuinely appreciate that. Please consider him for any other roles going forward. It's just at this stage, it's not something that we want for him, for his career. So and he's honestly really good about being particular about his roles. Like when he got the BMF, it's funny. I was like, okay, so is he playing a drug dealer? No drug dealer. Great. I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, super. And then as whenever they'd have his particular episodes, he asked for the entire script for that episode, even though he'd only be in certain parts. And he would read through. I'd bind them up and print them and hand them to him, and he'd read through the entire episode.
That's awesome.
That's good. That's smart.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry, honey.
I was saying it only makes sense. Your scene has build up to it, and if you don't know the build up, then you can't do the scene properly. Exactly. Which was my thought.
That's awesome.
But as also an aside, I shot a movie with Ethan Hawke.
Oh, did you?
He's great guy, very respectful, and he would have handled it the way it should have been handled. But I'm glad that you made that decision for him and for you. That's good.
Yeah, no, he was fantastic. I mean, that's why I was so excited to get. I was like, Ethan Hawke. I was so excited, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Right. Maybe something else in the future he can work with. Yeah,
maybe. Exactly. Yeah,
that's one of the things that I'm sure Raymond can talk to you a little bit about his process, and maybe you can help, advise him as well. I know with his process, whenever he gets a role, would you like to share? Or do you guys have questions? I'm like jumping in.
I know Shahida had a question. Go ahead, Shahida.
I did, but we kind of answered it as we kept talking, and now I don't have that question. So, but I guess my thing now would probably be for Raymond, because I mean, to me, you seem like you're really rising. Who do you not want to emulate, but whose career do you see like within your generation and maybe the next that you like your career to kind of take off from?
It's not. I wouldn't. I'm not sure there's anyone I would emulate. I kind of just want to build up. I want my own story and my own. I want to have my own career. I don't need anyone else's.
Good. Do you have any actor or actress that you really like at this moment?
Well, I mean, Denzel. His son. Lakeith. Yeah. Pretty much just those three.
Yeah. All right. So I have a question. Go ahead. Go ahead, Shahida.
On that same vein that I'm just asking, because I know if I was 13 or 16 or 17, I would want to be in the Marvel universe. How bad do you want that?
Really, Shahida, you had to bring up the Marvel. You just can't let a conversation go by without bringing up the Marvels. Oh Lord, this girl loves
1977. Since 1977.
Yes, especially I still do. I still want to be a Marvel, but then I wanted it really badly, and I still do. I still do.
I am rooting for you because the more we see of Marvel with people that look like us, let me tell you, this kid, when he saw the first Miles Morales, he came home and was doing push-ups with the weights because he was just like, I can be Spider-Man. I can be Spider-Man. So
and it was at that moment that Darius exited the picture because you done just embarrassed him.
Come back, Darius.
Right? Darius, don't go, Darius. I'm trying to behave and not say any cuss words.
But no, I'm rooting for you for that because I feel like, to me, that would be just the creme of the law. That would be perfect for any actor, especially a young one. So.
Yes.
Okay, so I had a question with Christy. Obviously, me and Christy go way back, way back. So I know your parenting style. So when I binge watched Black Mafia Family, of course, it's different when you watch a show that you don't know. You just watch it. I don't have a vested interest in it because I don't know anybody in it. So personally, I should say. But I watched BMF and it is a great series. I can't tell. After I've binged it, I've told anybody with an ear, I'm like, y'all got to go watch BMF on Starz. But as I was watching it, great cast. I will say Russell Hornsby, Raymond, is one of my favorite actors of all time. He is, I'll say he's one of the most underrated or underappreciated actors. Like he should really, he needs his coins and he needs his accolades because he is amazing. Everything that he's in, I watch. I don't care what it is. But back to the show, as I'm watching it, I'm saying to myself, ooh, okay. And of course, when Raymond came on as Darius, I was like, yay! And I had to rewind it back like 100 times to rewatch you again and rewatch you again. And but I'm saying to myself, was he able to watch the series though? That's my girl, because I was like, I'm watching the series and I'm like, with certain things and stuff. I was like, is Chris? I'm like, okay, I'm loving me some Raymond in this, but I'm like, did allow him to watch the series? No,
nope, absolutely not. Well, the good thing about him, though, in all honesty, he actually doesn't even like to watch himself. I have to make him watch himself. And I'm not kidding. I was like, Raymond, after I finished watching, see the parts, Judith in the back side, he's like, I don't need to see it. I was like, look, you need to see how it turned out, sir. But he just gets, you see how he cringes with the thought of seeing himself, right? Black Mafia Family. I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. I mean, this is, I'm hard on them. I make sure that I'm like, look, if you come in with it, this is our name. You coming out this house. You ain't gonna, it's not gonna be play, right? I was like, oh my God, you did such a good job. And we're on set and the directors are like, oh wow, he nailed it, so quickly, and all that stuff. And just excited, I was genuinely excited. So I was like, you need to watch. He's like, oh, so he sat down, made him watch, he's like watching it like this. And he's like, when he sat on the chair, when he sat with the little girl in the scene where they're talking, and the brother, he's like, oh, I hate that part. He hated it.
That part's actually like, it's actually like cringeworthy. Like it's the awkwardness. I can smell it.
That is too funny. That is too funny.
Yeah,
See, I'm glad that you brought. Yeah, I'm glad that you said that because I literally, I was watching that and I was like, certain scenes in certain episodes, I was like,
They
how
weren't
does
for
it
me.
work? You know,
I don't
like
think I was old enough for it.
do you allow him, or I'm thinking he's acting in it, he's in the series, like I guess that gives him a pass to watch it, but I already
It doesn't. We don't. No. Yeah. I was like, look, great show. Your dad and I like it. We'll watch it before it closes, and then when his part comes up, we're like, here you are, look at you. And then he goes away after that. Yeah. No. We're still trying to preserve just a little. I know there's so much out there right now. We're trying to give them an opportunity to preserve a little bit of the youth, because once it's over, it's over. You know, you only have this much. You have this much time to be a kid. You know, this much time to be a kid. So we're trying to keep them in that lane, you know, for as long as possible. And I mean, we you know, the title is Black Mafia Family. So there were some questions. We were like, okay, so exactly what is Jerry's going to do? And then we realized, you know, as we read through the script, he was not a drug dealer. He wasn't going to sleep with anybody. He had the little, you know, peck kiss, which was great, you know, classic. And so, you know, we were comfortable in that. So of course we get, you know, my 93-year-old grandmother still alive. My grandfather. I was like, you know, y'all really should. I'm gonna send you Raymond's part, okay? Right? Because even my parents, they were like, what episode is he in? Because they watched the first episode. They're like, what episode is he in? We'll just watch that one. Yeah, and that's what happened. You know, I was like, he's on 4 and 6, and I'm gonna send you the clip, and that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that was it.
Shahida, what you got?
I really love to hear that you're so involved and have such command over not only, you know, his career, but person, you know, how you want him to be perceived outside of this. I'll mess that all up. And I was listening to what's her name, Marsai Martin's parents.
Oh yes, love her.
I really like, you know, how they do the same thing. Do you ever get any pushback from, you know, the studios or agents or everything about, can you do? So can you speak on that for a second?
Absolutely, all the time. As a matter of fact, my husband went because it was out of town for Netflix, the Mindhunter. So in the script, he had to make a suggestion about how a pedophile did something, right? So on set, my husband said to the director, he said, listen, it's my son, young kid, you know, can we adjust it? And they adjusted it on the set. The director was, and the director was actually from Good Times, Elma's boyfriend. Yeah, I don't remember his name off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Wait, Good Times, whose boyfriend?
Not the husband, but he played a boyfriend. He was on Good Times. And that's how I reckoned. I was like, oh my gosh, but I can't remember his name right now. It's bothering me.
Wow.
But he directed his episode. And he was so great with Ray and Raymond. And my husband mentioned it, and they made the adjustment because we felt uncomfortable. I mean, it still was suggestive, but not so explicit, right? Mm-hmm. And then on, let's see, with the auditions, typically we're very, you know, we give polite pushback. You know, and then suggestions. You know, as parents, we don't want to come. I don't have the experience. I'm not a director. I'm not a producer. However, I do know that sometimes directors and producers operate, if they don't have a 16-year-old, they're operating on different perceptions, you know, and we're like, okay, we actually have one in this environment, in this generation. And, you know, he did, he's going to hate for me to share it, but he did this baseball movie, right?
What's this baseball movie?
No. Okay, so I'm going to make you giggle about it first, right? No, you won't. You probably won't ever see it. So he did this baseball movie where he auditioned for it, and he loves football and basketball. He knows nothing about baseball, right? Now they auditioned. They did four auditions, 4 times. I think it was 3 or 4. They had the original, then they had to go see them. Then we had to show him playing baseball. He was auditioning for the lead role, right? Now, I had to send him a YouTube video showing, okay, there's 9 innings in baseball. This is the batter, this is the catcher. That's how little. Now, you ask him anything about football, he can tell you the weight sizes, the 40-yard dash for anybody in football, right? But baseball, nothing. So, but he's an athlete, so he could do, you know, play the part well. So he gets out there, and he's, you know, looking like he's, you know, playing baseball and so on and so forth. And one of the things that the director wanted him to do was a dance. Just like you said, he wanted him to do a dance, right? And so he was like, Mom, they want me to dance, because he hits a home run, and then they wanted, and it was an all white production, situation. He was one of 2 Black kids, right? So automatically, so he's like, oh, and he hates, he's a great dancer, but he likes on the spot fun dancing. He's like, to tell them to do it in that moment. So they had him do 4 different dances. So he's out there doing something like this, and then the running man, and as soon as the take is over, he's like, every single time they did it, he did it like he meant, like he was, like he was going in, right? But as soon as he was like, you could see his face, and I was like, what's wrong? He's like, I don't want to do this, Dan. They're making me dance. And then when we saw it at the premiere, everybody's like, they thought it was great. And he's like shrinking in the seat, mortified by this dance that he had to do. But that was something. They didn't ask him to do any inappropriate dance, so we didn't, bark at that. But sometimes I love that he'll be willing to go all in, even if it's something he's not necessarily comfortable with.
Right.
Commitment.
Right.
Mr. Darius, you've been so good this whole time. Do you have any questions for Raymond as the young buck in this group?
Who's your favorite football player?
Ooh, my favorite football player.
We started him now. Here we go.
In the NFL or retired?
NFL. Both.
In the NFL?
Yep.
Alvin Kamara.
Who?
Alvin Kamara.
Who?
Alvin Kamara. He's a running back for New Orleans.
And
I
old
have been out of
Auntie TT right now is like, I don't know who that is.
He's amazing.
way over.
Way over our head.
He's amazing.
You got anything else, sir? No? I'm putting you on the spot, Mr. Darius.
I got somebody else that has a question. Do you want to ask a question?
Yes, come on in. Where is she?
She's been down on the floor the entire time.
I can't believe she's been down on the floor. Come on, Mia.
No, thank you.
Oh, come on,
Oh,
Mia.
no, Mia, don't. We already heard you say no, thank you. Bring the question.
Mia.
Hi.
Darius, I'm feeling you right now.
But she's old.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question. I got 2 more questions. Because, obviously working as an actor, with school, you're still in school. How does that pan out? How do you correlate, or just, the working and the school aspect? Do you go to school and like your regular school year and then act in the summer, or when if you have a gig that's happening during the school year, how does that work? Do you continue school on set? I'm just curious about that.
When I do book, I usually do school on set. So they always have a certain amount of hours I have to be in school so that I can, make sure my grades are okay, and and they have a teacher on set to help me with my work and, making sure all my work is turned in on time. Mm-hmm. But it's not difficult to me, because everything, like now school, everything is online, everything's on Teams, so you can access it wherever. So it's not difficult at all. And most of the lessons are on the internet, so I can always just pull up my computer and just do the work right then and there. And
that is true. And in this day and COVID, I'm assuming everything's online, so you can handle that.
If I was an actor, I'm sorry, and I was his age, I would have been flexing on you in school, Tanya, big time.
What do you mean? What did you just say? If what?
If I was an actor and I was on a Starz 50 Cent show and I would come to school, I would have been flexing on everybody in class.
Oh yeah, we wouldn't be friends because I'd be so hating on you right now. I'd be like, get away from me.
But you know what? You know what? How crazy this is? It's so funny for him. He doesn't want us to tell anybody. Like when he was doing it, he's like, so you're not gonna tell anybody, are you? I was like, I'm telling everybody. What? I'm posting it, I'm printing it, I'm singing it, I'm telling everybody. You're great, you know? And he's like, well, do we have to tell, you know? And so literally because he's in a magnet school for theater, and he doesn't tell his teacher or the director, anybody what he's doing. I was like, you know, you're gone for a week. They notice, right?
Basically.
Thank goodness they noticed. Thank goodness.
Yeah, well, do we have to tell them? I was like, well, I'm not gonna lie and pretend like you're sick, you know? I'm like, no, Raymond is doing this, he's working on this, and the teachers are fantastic. He's like, oh, whatever he needs, and so forth, you know, because it's a theater school, you know. Well, they have a magnet section at the school, but he doesn't like to tell anybody. He doesn't want to post anything, you know. He doesn't want to say anything, and I appreciate that because he really. You want to tell them why you don't want to? I'll let him tell you.
No.
I don't really. Well, okay, but the reason changed for years. At first, I didn't want to tell people because I wasn't at where I wanted to be at the moment, so I didn't want anyone to know. And now, it's just, to me, it's I don't want to be conky. I don't want to like not what is it?
The attention.
I don't want the attention. And I rather
just call it what it is, bro. Nephew, you don't want them. Come on, Christy. You don't want them girls in them streets talking about, hey, Raymond.
Look, in the streets would be nice. I'm like looking at his because I managed part of his post, right? And in the DM, I'm like, no, yes, I'm not gonna say because we're live and we have a little young one there. But there's some pictures in the DM. I was like, little girl, you look like you have a mortgage. Go. No, you know, some of these old women, I was like, oh, he is a child. Yeah. I was like, he's a child.
Somebody call Chris Hansen. Somebody call Chris Hansen because this is How to Catch a Predator up in here.
I was like, what does this say? And now most of them are very, you know, a lot of the kids that DM them are like, you know, congratulations, you did a great job. Can you tell me a little bit about how you did this? I'm looking to it. Most of it's that. But then there are the girls that, you know, are showing flesh, you know. I'm like, oh, delete, block, you know. So yeah, it's not. I'm like, and I try not to be that parent, but I actually think I am. I think
but
I'm.
You have to be
that parent.
You have to be that parent because, listen, we're adults on social media. And we see the nonsense that's out there all the time. I'm nobody. I'm just regular old Tanya. And I see on other people's pages just, you know, the comments that are made and stuff like that. So I can only imagine, or I can't even imagine what it's like to be in the spotlight or be in, you know, an actor in this business that you've got people just coming at you left and right just because of what you do and who you are. So that's why for me, I mean, I love my friendship with Chris. I love my familyship with you and Raymond, but that's a business that I've always said I just could never get into because I love my privacy and I just don't have the, I consider myself to be a confident person, but I can honestly say that I don't have the self-esteem or the confidence to be in that public spotlight where people are just like, we're going to say this about you or this about you or anything. And that would just hurt my feelings. Hell, we got the podcast. Okay. And people have gone on our YouTube page and have gone in on me. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I'll try to change or whatever. And I'm just like,
wait till you're on Wendy Williams.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Wow.
So I got my one final question, and then I'll hand it over to Sheikha and Chris. I just got one final question. Raymond, I know you're still young in this business, and this might be a loaded question, but have you ever thought of like your future? Like, what have you thought about future goals outside of acting? Like, would you ever want to produce, direct, get behind the camera? What are your future goals? Is this long term for you? Do you want to stay in this business for the long haul?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I want to act, produce, direct. I want to do it. I want to do it all at some point in my life. Right now, I'm just acting and credits, and maybe win some awards, and then I want to get into acting and producing and making my own shows and films and movies.
Have you been writing at all?
I've been trying. I've been trying to start. Well, okay. First, I have a really trouble writing like when I want to write. Because usually when an idea comes to me,
you're never gonna want to write. By the way, just so you know, you're never gonna want to write. Just telling you that right now from the beginning. It's not like, I want to write right now. It's never gonna happen that way.
Yes.
Especially if it's something you have to write. But anyway, go ahead.
Yes, I realize that now. That when I have an idea, I write it out in my notes and I go back to it, and then I'll start writing a scene. But I've never finished anything, and I've never finished anything because of school, or I gotta learn a play. I gotta do homework, so I never really got around to it.
Something that'd be helpful. I'm sorry, Shahidi, you want to say?
Well, no, go ahead. Give him your advice.
You can get speech to text on computer or whatever. If you don't have the time and you have 15 minutes a day or whatever, if you just talk into your computer or your phone, it'll write it out for you. And there's free things that'll do that for you. Otter.something that I have that you can just literally have this whole conversation in text form. So if you don't feel like writing, you can be like, okay, I have this idea for so-and-so. And they'll say, okay, I have this idea. A man is so-and-so, a 16-year-old, he gets into trouble, all that kind of stuff. So that could help as well. But the more that you can write for yourself or your ideas, the more it'll solidify who you are, what you like, what direction you want to go in. And also it's nice to be able to look back on that years later, and something might say, oh, I remember that idea that I had, and then you can develop it that way. So always just get it down, whatever it is, just get jotted. I have so many notes and things like, I got an idea for an auctioneer, and he is rapping whatever, you know what I mean? So just whatever it is, write it down or text, and you never know when it's going to come back. And eventually when something inspires you, but it's always the actual process of doing it. You ask any writer, but the more that you do that, the more and if you have something that you're really excited about, then you can work on it more and you can put it away and then come back to it. So
yeah,
okay. Okay. So Raymond, kind of piggybacking off what Chris said, when you think about writing or when you think about, your career, what are the kind of things that you want to see on the screen, like on TV or in the movies, that, you want to have some kind of like control over? What do you want to see, especially for, young Black, African Americans? What do you want to see?
I just want to see something different. I don't know, not like when it comes to shows for kids and like comedy, a lot of it is recycled and just press refresh. It's just a different, it's all the same but just a different title. And I would like to make something different, add my own kind of comedy to it, which I think would be funny and entertaining to the screen, and not just I do like serious and like deep and smoky films, but I really want to make something that's just funny.
I get it, because we need comedy. And that's probably one of the, especially for African Americans, there's so many different aspects of our lives. And it just seems like what you're saying, they stick to one formula, and there's something that came out on ABC this week, I think. And I was really surprised that the characters look different. The African American woman, she was dark skinned. There wasn't like leading with like very light, bright people. All that, it was like a rainbow more so, and that's what I feel like, if we start writing for ourselves more and, have ideas that you have in your head, we can show all the different aspects of African American life, not just those people coming out the projects or the super rich. You know what I mean?
Or the drug dealers. Yep.
Shahida, I think you were referring to the Grand Crew on NBC.
Yes.
Yes, because I watched that. They came out with 2 episodes this week, and I DVR'd it and watched it, and I absolutely loved it.
My friend is in it.
And it because
my younger brother is in it. Yeah, Aaron Jennings.
Okay.
I love it.
Absolutely loved it, and loved the fact that they gave Morris Garrett Morris his shine as the narrator. I love that. But I like the fact that it showed us at just being normal. You know what I mean? Like, we got feelings, we live our regular lives. We have regular jobs and regular friends and whatever. I like that, as opposed to what you typically see on TV and on the big screen with regards to us being like drug dealers and whatever. Albeit not a dig to BMF, because BMF, I mean, we're all at that age. The 4 of us are at that age where we know, we knew who these people were back in the day. And before we close, I just have to end it on this. Raymond, I was absolutely impressed, like, with Demetrius. I did not know that was actually Big Meech's actual son that played his father. I mean, the fact that I just want to know, like, as an actor, I mean, and Chris, maybe you can chime in on this too. It's like, as an actor, it's like, how do you play your parent? Because he killed that role. I mean, I come from an era where I'm very familiar with the Black Mafia family back in the day. And he killed that role of his dad.
Well, I mean, I don't know what his life was like with his dad, or how much he knows because of their situation.
Yeah.
But I could play my mom and dad any day of the week, because I know my circumstances. I know dependencies. I know this and that, and I think that the production company, they got him a good acting coach, and they coached him up real well, and it was good directors. But hey, I mean, it would be weird, but I could definitely play.
It's like O'Shea Jackson played Ice Cube.
That is true. Ice Cube's son played him, and I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. But okay, I always say I got one last question, but I have one last question. Oh, there you are, Garrett Morris. Love him.
Everybody keeps showing off.
Can we talk about Snoop Dogg Chris and Shahida, did you guys watch BMF?
I watched like about 5 episodes.
Okay. Can we talk about Snoop Dogg as the pastor? I ain't never laughed so hard in my life. When he showed up as the preacher, I was like, I can't. So I mean, Raymond, I saw the picture of you and him together with the young actress that played Michi's sister. How is Snoop? That I just gotta ask that. He crazy.
He's tall.
Yeah, he is.
Tall. And he actually came up to me. He was like, hey little man. I was like, Snoop. And I shook his hand, and he was very funny. He was polite. He was real cool to work with.
Nice.
I will tell you this: he triggered me because me and the mom, Layla's mom, the young girl who played Nicole,
Yep.
we were sitting there, trying to be dignified, and yeah. And he came back and said something like, "Yay!" We were like, "Yay, yay!" Oh. Gone at Snoop. I mean, he was so personal. He was so funny. You see the choir in the background. He had them crying, laughing, pretending he was directing. He was so awesome. I was like, oh man, I lost all my dignity right there in that moment. But
I would have too. That's why you can never listen, Raymond. Don't you ever invite me on set and anybody of any value comes walking off, especially Snoop Dogg. Because Christy, you already know I'd be like, Snoop Dogg.
Right.
We'd have reverted right back to 1992 and 91. Mm-hmm.
She and I both did it at the same. I was like, oh shoot.
All right.
Love it.
How long was he?
So all right. So we are a little bit over an hour. Chris, Shahida, any other things that you want to bring to the table?
Just one. What's your question? Okay, never mind. She wanted to know how long a scene took to take, but now she's being shy. So I'm good. It was really great talking to you, Raymond and Chris. I mean,
listen, I am so appreciative, Raymond, to have you here. When we're done, obviously, when we log off, stay online so we can properly thank you. But I'm going to actually link you up with Chris, so that way you guys can talk shop, I guess. And Chris is a wealth of knowledge. He's awesome. He'll definitely, steer you in the right direction. But we are so happy and so grateful to have you here. And don't get it twisted. You was here first. And when you get up to Denzel status, if we're still around living and breathing, I'm going to need you to come on the old elderly person's Still Dope podcast. So we thank you and we love you. So until next time, Still Dope. Peace out. Oh, you any shout outs? Any shout outs, Raymond, that you want to give?
Come follow my Instagram.
Alvin Kamara.
Come on, give a shout out to my girl Julia. Hey, Julia.
Oh yeah. No, it's a sibling rivalry. No, yeah, that probably won't happen. Yeah. They're siblings. Yes.
All right. Well, cool. Well, we thank you so much. And until next time, Still Dope family, stay blessed. Peace. As I always do. My do.